Hello and welcome to another episode of the Kennel NRL Podcast. And today we come to you with a special episode reviewing last night's grand final. And how can we not? It was a grand final for the ages. It had injuries, comebacks, forwards performing like backs, and a 20-minute performance by a halfback that I don't think we've seen in over 30 years. Hello and welcome, and thank you for joining us today. Now, before we go on, make sure you mutilate that subscribe button to support us, as we have a lot of content coming up for you guys. And to review yesterday's grand final with me, I've got my evergreen co-host, Dibbo. Welcome, Dib.
Welcome. Glad to be back on the show. All I can say is last night's was probably the best I've ever watched in terms of grand finals. I don't look. When your side's not in a grand final, you know, obviously you don't miss the whole anxiety and stress and, you know, I don't even want to go into it, breaking things and whatnot. Well, I've got to admit, last night sitting there, tinge of sadness. It's been a while since my side's been in the grand final.
Same.
You know, you just missed that whole, you know, even in the final series, it's been about 5 seasons. You just missed that whole euphoria, the whole lead up into the finals where the whole LGA gets together and, you know, you just want to ride or cheer the boys home, basically.
I mean, you know, I sort of felt the same way. I was really upset. Well, not upset, but I was sort of reminiscing on, you know, 2014 when the Dogs were in the grand final and, you know, the hype around it in 2012, you know, a couple of years before that. But to be honest, like yesterday, even though I don't support any of the teams, I was riding on every single play. I was just every single tackle, every single run. It was such a great grand final, and I think this one will be very hard to beat. You know, in the years coming, because what a grand final! It was just one of those ones.
I was just marveling.
There's so many good points, so many good things to come out of that grand final, and we're gonna get to them. But
did you find yourself cheering both sides? Because I was honestly just oohing and ahhing and cheering and wowing at both sides. And I was just fanboying both sides.
I could never cheer on the Brisbane Broncos. Never, ever.
When Ezra Mam ran hot in that, it was crazy. It was a tale of two periods, basically. You got the Cleary stint, and then you got the Ezra Mam.
Absolutely.
How do you score a hat-trick and end up on the losing side?
It's remarkable. And you know, speaking of that, that Nathan Cleary 20-minute stint, wow. Nathan Cleary and that 20-minute performance is probably the best I've seen from a halfback ever. I mean, the only thing that comes close probably is that last-minute play by Andrew Johns in 1997 to get Newcastle over the line. Yes. That's the only thing I think that comes close to what Nathan Cleary did, or maybe Lenga in 92. You know, for a halfback to be so dominant, even for only 20 minutes, and to absolutely bring his team home the way he did. Look, I don't think there are many halfbacks in the game, no matter how experienced, that could have done that. I would question even if someone like Cronk could have done what Nathan Cleary did last night. Oh yeah.
Look, all it takes is a short stint to turn the game around. We thought Ezra Mam had it won for the Broncos, and then Cleary, I mean, you saw it happen, basically laid off that pass for Crichton. We'll get to Crichton later. And then he did that 40-20, and then he did that line break and lay off to Leota out of everyone. Moses Leota.
I was backing up in support.
I believe it, but Moses Leota in the 65th minute or close to 70th minute still running.
Very hard, mind you.
Oh, he didn't stop running the whole game. What a freak. And then we saw what he did at the end, basically.
And to be honest, I think at that point, the Broncos knew that the dam had burst and they weren't going to be able to stop Cleary. And it was almost as though you were just waiting for Cleary to, you know, to ice that last few minutes and win it for the Panthers. It was almost like a foregone conclusion. And to be honest, like, what I think typifies just how great Nathan Cleary has become, the way he backs himself and the confidence he has, is that 40-20 that he kicked after the Moses Leota try. It takes a lot of courage.
Oh, you mean the Crichton try?
No, so it was Moses Leota, then it was Crichton, then it was Cleary.
Oh, it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Jeez,
sorry. So he made the line break and he put Leota over, and then he passes for Crichton. But that 40-20, I think the Nathan Cleary 40-20.
What a kick!
It typifies what Nathan Cleary has become. It was just incredible. Like
big plays. For
him to take that chance, because if he doesn't nail it, right, he's just given the ball back to the opposition early. He's killed another 2 minutes, and he potentially would have killed the momentum that the Panthers have started to rebuild. But he was full of confidence. He was just like, I'm going to get it done. He kicked it. He nailed it, and you knew from then the Broncos they went into their shell because they weren't being bashed, but they were just being outplayed.
I felt they basically they brought it upon themselves. Obviously with the dropouts, they went back in themselves to defend them. So they were trying those short dropouts that end up being a disaster for them as well. One led to a try, another one led to a 2 points.
Yeah.
Just boot along. Back yourself. You didn't finish, second for no reason. Stephen Crichton, his grubbers to the in goal absolutely killed Brisbane.
Brilliant, so brilliant.
How many times did he do it? 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, he did it. A few times.
And every time he got him nailed in there. I mean, and then
do you think that was a strategy though? Do you think that was something that they had?
I don't think so. For Crichton to kick, no. I think Crichton he came off of the big plays at the right time in the most difficult game of the season. Yeah, I mean, look, I felt like Brisbane brought upon themselves in the instance they went up by 16 points. And then, I mean, Carrigan loose carry. They were pushing passes they didn't need to push. There was a few loose balls there. There was one, I think, Crichton scooped that and put Leota away, who went for about a 20-metre scoop, basically, or dash down.
I remember that one, yeah.
There was a few, they were just sitting there lazy. Some of the players, Reece Walsh, I mean, he wasn't alert at fullback at all. A few of the other forwards or backs were just standing there like, I mean, is it a curse going up by so much? They did it too easy as well, I felt. I mean, it was just Ezra Mam that literally put him ahead there. So probably, because you know what? Penrith dictated that first half. They were the more dominant side.
But I was actually worried about Penrith in that first half because even though they dictated and
they weren't scoring as much.
They weren't scoring points. Yeah. But I think this is the beauty of the Panthers. Why I think the Panthers were able to come home so strong in the second half was because they ran the Broncos forwards around the whole first half. Like there were many times there where I would assume, or you would assume, that the predictable thing would be for Nathan Cleary to kick or to pass long or to grubber, but they kept going around. They kept passing the ball. They kept throwing short passes, passing, and what it did was it tired out the props and the forwards of the Broncos, because I think, like, if you look at Kurt Capewell, he had maybe 1 or 2 good touches, but he was just defending so much, and he was being run around, run ragged.
Yeah. Jordan Riki faded out in that second half.
Jordan Riki faded out, even though I thought he had a good first half. There was that one tackle that Stephen Crichton made on him, a try-saving tackle, and I thought after that it sort of dented his confidence. The only one that I thought was incredible, 65 minutes, 70 post-contact meters, 180 runs, 41 tackles, was Payne Haas.
Yeah, it didn't stop. Flegler had a decent stints as well.
Flegler was good, but
Carrigan tried his heart out, but some loose carries cost his side. They needed his leadership out there. So,
and I think
Reynolds, I thought the injury hampered him.
To be honest, I thought Reynolds. It's weird. Reynolds looked like he was a bit stunned. Like he didn't, when the Panthers started to come back, it's like he didn't know what to do. And for a person that it's his 3rd grand final, so much experience, I thought that he could have potentially taken more control of that game and kept the Panthers out of it.
Yeah.
But I just felt like, even when in the second half, the dropouts where he was trying to go long but try and get it out, one of them went out on the full with that Nathan Cleary master play where he put his foot out before he grabbed the ball. Very smart. The second one, Liam Martin catches it and runs. So I understand what he was trying to do, but I just felt
why now?
He's trying to get too fancy.
Why all of a sudden in the grand final when you're up ahead? Back yourself.
Yeah, look, I agree. I don't disagree with you.
And one of them obviously led to a try, and the other one led to a gifted 2 points, which was ultimately the difference.
No. So I'm talking in the second half. If you remember, and not the short dropout, I'm talking about the longer ones where he was trying to kick it towards the sideline so he can bounce in and then out. And then one of them went out on the full when Nathan
just drill it down the center, 50 meters, defend your heart out.
And the thing is, I think the Broncos could have defended.
Hands down. I mean, they had shut him out for so long. Why now you just can't?
Yeah, but Nathan, that 20-minute performance, so just to recap, that Nathan Cleary 20-minute performance was a line break and then a pass in to Moses Leota. It was a 40-20 on 4th tackle to get his team back in there. It was a pass to Stephen Crichton, even though Stephen Crichton had a lot of work to do, right? For him to isolate those plays, it was a brilliant try. Stephen Crichton, 4 tries in 4 grand finals.
Shame. He's gone.
I think
the sequence is going to break apart.
I mean, look, you're right, but it's so interesting to think like he scored 4 tries in 4 different grand finals, and the only other person to do it, 40 years ago was Brett Kenny for the Eels. It's just
he surpassed Brett Kenny now.
Oh, did Breckenny score in 3 or 4 games?
3.
Well, there you go.
So now he's. I thought he was going to get the next record, which is 6 in a row.
But he stands alone up there, you know.
Yeah. So the next record up 6 grand finals in a row. So
with the Dragons.
Yeah, Johnny King. So
I mean that.
But I thought Critter
70 years ago doesn't count.
But if Critter would stay with Penrith, I think he'd get it because everyone, you know, if you look at it, Penrith 5 or 6 in a row is not beyond him.
I honestly don't think it is. But for him to just have been, you know, he's won 86 out of 100 games.
Freak.
I mean, you know, 86% winning.
Is that the most? Is that the highest winning rate of all time?
It has to be
for players at 100 games plus.
It has to be him, Spencer Leniu, and one other player who debuted at the same time. They've played 100 or 90 plus games, and they've won 80 to 90% of them. Isaac Tungwa maybe. But either way, I mean, it's just remarkable. Oh, Matt Burton actually. But Matt Burton's lost a lot of games of the Doggies, yeah. But
see you, Berto.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, for Stephen Crichton, he's just proving to be such a big game player.
Crichton's gone to the Dogs as well.
Yeah. I mean, you know, hopefully some of that success and that freakish ability, he can bring that over and some of that professionalism because I think it could make a big difference to the Doggies. But still, last night's performance, incredible. You know, Nathan Cleary. And then for him to score that final try where he runs past 4 or 5 players and then he puts the try down to seal the win, I think...
They were very fatigued. They just opened up the road for him.
As I said, like the floodgates were open and I just didn't think they had a way to close it. And, you know, let me say, what a win. What an incredible performance by Nathan Cleary to seal the three-peat.
If he doesn't pull off that... who would you have given man of the match? Would it have been Ezra if Brisbane got up, or Payne Haas? Because Payne Haas was monumental as well.
I mean,
then you make a case for Leota and Edwards as well.
Edwards ran over 300 meters, 25 runs, made 30 something tackles. He made
Moses Leota again was a tank.
Look, I think personally, if I'm honest with you, I would say of all the players, I think Payne Haas or Ezra Mam from the Broncos would have to be. Or to be honest, you could even say Jesse Arthur's. Like Arthur's played so well.
He ran hard and busted the line. He defended well too.
I thought he was the best player in the Broncos back line.
Because normally Ta'o goes over in that corner.
Even Herbie Farnworth I thought defended well. But we'll get into the Broncos performance. But just 3P, is this the greatest rugby league team we've ever seen
in the modern era? Hands down. I mean, they've superseded Parramatta now. I
think that this is by far the best team we've ever seen, and it'll be hard for any team to come close.
Of course, you need another dynasty, so it's not going
to... Even though the Roosters won 2 in a row, arguably they didn't deserve that second grand final. I'll stand by that.
They've passed the Roosters. They've been in 4 grand finals in a row. They've won 3 in a row. Just show you how hard it is. No side has won 3 in a row for almost 40 years.
That's right.
Oh, sorry, 40 years. Actually.
Yeah, it has been 40 years.
40 years. So 40 years later. So what, you're going to say you're going to have another side soon doing 3 in a row? You probably won't see it for another 40 years again, or maybe longer. With you, honestly. Or maybe never.
I agree. And you know what's interesting is, last year, Ivan Cleary lost arguably, the 2 best assistant coaches in Cameron Ciraldo and Andrew Webster, right, to first grade teams. He comes back with these new assistants and he wins another grand final.
All Ivan.
It's all Ivan.
Ivan, a super coach. He's 3 in a row. He's been in 5 grand finals. I think he's surpassed some other coaches out there now, I feel.
Well, I'm starting to think that he could be one of the best coaches we've ever seen alongside Wayne Bennett and Craig Bellamy.
Oh, he definitely is. I mean, to achieve 3 in a row, Jack Gibson did 3 in a row and he was immortalised. So why can't Cleary be immortalised?
And Nathan Cleary said we're just getting started, and it's scary for the league because I even though they're losing Crichton, Cogger, and Spencer Leniu, they still have a lot of depth in their team that players can come in and replace them. And I wouldn't even be surprised to see them in a grand final in 2024. Honestly, I wouldn't put it past them at all.
They're very, before they even got to the 3-peat, I think maybe at the start of the year, they were even saying, well, halfway through the year, they was like, Penrith's could do 5 or 6 in a row here. And of course.
And there's
nothing suggests they won't. All right, they lose Critter, unfortunately, next year. They lose Cogger.
And Leniu.
And Leniu. All right, they lose a few. If they can get some few players that can basically match or thereabouts what these guys are doing,
Well,
Why can't they do it?
they've got Taylor May to replace Crichton.
Taylor May, he's a freak on the wing.
Not as good as Crichton. I'm not going to say he's as good as Crichton.
Absolute freak, though.
But they've still got Peachy that can play there, right? They bought Alamotti from the Bulldogs. They've bought Dane Laurie back from the Tigers. He's a great player. I think that he's got a lot of potential. And if they re-sign Jerome Luai, they've essentially locked up their fullback 5'8", half.
And I'm sure they'll get some freak coming
9.
through. Yeah. And I'm sure, looks like our audience is going off here. Anyway, continuing on, I just want to say, suck shit, Brisbane.
Yes, suck shit. I'm so happy. Couldn't have happened to a more deserving team.
You know what? Their fans, the cockiness they used to display growing up, and then in the 2000s, they sort of thought they were entitled. And then it's all of a sudden, when they hadn't won a premiership heading towards 10 years, that's when they started some humility. I remember there used to be this Gronk, I'm going to call him a Gronk from the Broncos. He used to always scream out, "We are the Broncos" at the games. I wonder where that Gronk is now.
He's probably crying in a ditch somewhere right now.
Hopefully.
But I mean, if you look at if you look at in 2015, they lost to the Cowboys in very satisfying fashion. And then again in 2023, they lost in a very satisfying way.
That grand final wasn't close to being one of the greats. I mean, the only reason is because it went to extra time.
It was the way it ended.
It was the way it ended. But other than that, there was a lot of errors in that game, I felt.
It was a tough game, but this grand final, like last night,
did they give Thurston man of the match in that grand final?
I think he did get the club.
That was another mistake. But anyway,
but last night's grand final was just both teams were really like at the top of their game. I
was fanboying both. Ezra Mam, that was freakish, and then
for him to score 3 tries in grand final and not win the grand final. It's such, only Penrith can do that. Like it's just such an incredible, like for them to have a 3-peat, to win it the way I thought, the fact that they won it coming back from such a big deficit, it just shows how great this team is. Like, I know I'm a Doggy supporter, I'm diehard Bulldog supporter, but you got to recognize greatness. You've got to recognize
hands down.
This team is just on another level.
Do you have the player lists up in front of you?
I do, yeah.
Because I want to run, can we run through the players 1 to 17 on each side?
Absolutely. So it was Dylan Edwards and Reece Walsh.
All right, Dylan. During the game I spoke about it. He's powered by Duracell because he would not stop running.
Incredible.
Regardless, even if it wasn't happening for him, just wouldn't stop. Always involved. Great kick returner. I'd say he's the best kick returner in the game.
Oh, he's another forward. He's another forward. He ran 300 meters.
He's actually a bigger body than people think he is. He's about 6'1".
But you know what I love about him? Even when there are scuffles,
he's about 95 kilos.
He's always polite. He's always with the fans. He's always like good with other players, even when there are scuffles.
Can I point out? Sorry to interrupt. Most of the parent sides like that.
Yeah, agreed. 100%.
Ivan Cleary, the coach, sets the standards.
100%.
His son Nathan, and then I know Crichton and Luai can come off as cocky in that, but has anyone seen these guys off the field?
They're brilliant.
Absolutely. Humility is all there.
Yeah, 100%.
Got time for everyone.
I love it. And I hope Luai stays. I really, really hope Luai stays.
I know Leota and Fisher Harris are scary on the field. When you hear them talk, they're softly spoken.
Man, they're such
a good laugh.
And they've also been re-signed by the Panthers. So honestly, moving forward, they've got that core. Cool. Yeah. Edwards, Cleary, Mitch Kenny. They've got, hopefully Luai resigns. They've got Leota, Fisher Harris. They've got Tango, May, Taruva. They've got Brian To'o re-signed as well. Oh, yeah. I mean,
another lovely one.
Do you know what I mean? Sure, they can pad the team with youngsters, but if the core's there, it's going to be very hard to beat them because they've got such a great young team. Then we got
Oh wait, I know we went off topic, but back to Reece Walsh, who's a big talking point.
Sorry, we have to talk about Reece Walsh.
I know his stats show 100 meters. He did go from missing for large periods of the game. Defensively for me, I thought, what is he doing? He was out of position, no focus. I mean, they've gone for a short dropout. What is he doing in the in-goal? Was there no communication there? I mean, regardless, why are you sitting down on your Hodgins in-goal sipping some water? What is going on there?
Look, I understand the criticism.
There was no
of Reece Walsh, but that's the way Reece Walsh plays. And there were times where I thought he could break it open again.
Did you see that run he made?
It was a brilliant run.
He basically beat 6 or 7 players, and he almost beat the next 2. He looked to offload, and if they were there half a metre sooner,
it would have been another Brisbane try.
And it just made me just sit there and just think, why now? Where have you been?
Yeah, 100%.
I know he set
100%.
one try up, but mate, you should have been it's from the first minute.
But I thought that the Broncos weren't ready for the way the Panthers were passing the ball around, and they expected Cleary to be kicking it maybe to try still be kicking it towards Walsh or away from Walsh, but Walsh will still get the chance to be an open, broken play. But the Panthers were like, no, we're not even going to kick because how many times did they take the tackle on last in the Broncos 10-meter line as opposed to kicking it? Because they didn't want Walsh to get it from broken play. They wanted the Broncos to start right up against it on their line, and it tired the Broncos out, and it kept Walsh out of the game. Right,
smart.
Very, very smart.
Those Crichton kicks nailed him as well.
But I do think that Walsh will be so much better next year.
He's only 20, 21.
His ceiling is incredible, and what he will go on to achieve for the Broncos, I think the next 5 to 10 years will be legendary, and he will 100% win a grand final.
He'll come
with
back.
The Broncos.
He's too good of a player.
This team is so young and so good. They're going to win a grand final in the next couple of years, without a doubt. Like, it's going to be them and Panthers next. Them and Broncos. Yeah, them Panthers, maybe Roosters, maybe Eels, maybe Warriors next year. But the Broncos will be up there. The Broncos will definitely be up there. Sunia Taruva and Jesse Arthurs.
Arthur's sensational. Some of those runs in that first half got him out of trouble. He broke the line a few times. If somebody had a 20-meter head start from his teammates when he made that break, and then, he could have put him over. But
100%.
You can't blame his teammates for not backing up because, he's a winger at full pace.
I was incredible.
They're probably already 30, 40 metres behind by the time.
I thought even though Herbie Farnworth defended well, I thought Jesse Arthurs was the best Broncos back.
Yeah,
he was the best back.
They combined really good.
Would you agree that Arthurs was the best back for the Broncos?
Ezra Mam, for me, defended really
well.
No,
I'm saying...
you mean 1 to 5?
Yeah, 1 to 5. He was the best one.
Oh, probably Herbie for me. But if it's not Herbie, it's definitely Jesse. You're right. Yeah.
I thought Arthur's provided a lot more in attack.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was brilliant. Yeah.
And he defended very well.
He ran with ferocity as well.
Up against To'o
and he diffused the high ball well.
Yeah, he did. He was very good.
Needed more from Cobbo.
Sunia Taruva, man, he ran like
he went about his work quietly. Good on him. He went around his work quietly. Didn't offer any errors, I think. So
he made. I want to tell you how many meters he made.
He went quiet about his work.
It was incredible how many meters he made.
200.
Over 200 actually. It was.
And it's funny.
He made 145 meters.
Yeah, but he went about it. Look, he didn't offer any errors. Basically,
did very well though.
He didn't do anything silly. He did his job, I felt. And then if you go to centre, Stags and Targo.
Yeah, Tango. I thought they came.
He was struggling with that shoulder.
I think he came back early. Katoni Staggs tried hard. I thought there was a couple of times where he ran the ball hard, or hit one play where he got the ball out of the in goal and he ran 10 meters. I thought that was a good play.
I'll tell you what, there was a few defensive reads he made that were really good.
Yeah.
When he rushed up on Cleary a few times. A few times he pulled off a few tackles. And then he had a few lapses as well.
Yeah. Crichton and Farnworth, I thought this was a great battle. Farnworth against Crichton.
2 premier centres of the game. I think they were both named in the team of the year. And it showed. Crichton scored that try. He wasn't meant to score that, but he brushed off 3 of them or something like that.
3 good defenders as well, mind you. Yeah. Big boys.
His kicks in goal, those grubbers, they absolutely killed Brisbane. Oh, wow.
Resets. I thought Herbie defended well. Yeah. Ran well. Overall, I thought they didn't use Herbie well enough. I don't think that the ball got out to Herbie early. When you give Herbie early ball, he's got a weird running style, and he breaks a lot of tackles. I just didn't think they used him enough. To'o and Cobbo, I think To'o ran for about 180 meters. Cobbo had maybe 2 or 3 mistakes, and just seemed there was a little bit overawed.
Yeah, his mistakes needed more from Cobbo in terms of relieving the forwards. They needed more, and then when he tried to get involved, did that silly error that he coughed up the ball
a couple of times. Actually,
the halves.
Luai Mam.
Obviously, Mam won that battle. Luai, he's gonna have surgery. Obviously, look, it was good. Luai was there. I guess it gave the team some confidence.
He couldn't defend. You could tell, and his mates were, his teammates were trying to cover for him.
Ezra Mam. Wow,
what a hat trick! Just speed to burn. Destroyed everybody.
He gifted his team 16-point lead. He gifted them that lead. So
he essentially won them the game until
they decided to take it away from themselves.
Yeah, until Cleary
came on. Yeah,
but well done to Mam. I think for a 20-year-old in a grand final to score a hat trick. I think Ezra will score a lot more tries in grand finals. I think that this Broncos team has so much more going for it. Yep. Nathan Cleary and Adam Reynolds. I think Cleary, that 20-minute stint. Top.
Look, Reynolds, he had hurt his hip bad. I thought he was going to come off. But look, he's a leader. His experience, probably they needed more from him.
Oh, they needed a lot more from him.
He needed direction from him. Some of those plays he did out of left field, it's like what he didn't have trust in his teammates, or they didn't back themselves. I don't know.
Maybe trying to be too fancy in a grand final.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Silly. It wasn't needed, especially you're up by 16 and then 10 points, and then try to defend that 4-point lead was not needed. Props.
Moses Leota and Thomas Flegler.
I thought it was a good battle. Flegler scored that nice try. I thought he ran hard and tried to put on a few hits. Leota, to his credit, didn't stop. I think in the end, Leota got the points because he kept going to the 80th minute, basically.
He was incredible. Like, he came on when the game was almost lost for the Panthers. He came on and
scored that try.
Not only did he score that try, but he just ran hard, and tackled hard. He backed up.
He also, when they picked up that loose ball, it was Leota steaming onto it from Crichton as well.
Oh, that's right, yeah. And look, I think Leota's an unsung hero. Cleary and Crichton and all these guys will get the accolades, but without Leota coming back on, I don't think the Panthers win. I'll be honest with you. The Panthers don't go anywhere near winning without someone like Leota.
Flegler was great in the first hour. They needed more from him in that last 15, I felt.
I thought Flegler was okay. He scored that try and he tried to make an impact, but I just don't think he had the barnstorming
or the wheels.
The difference,
He should have kept going. I mean, Leota didn't stop giving in. That was the difference. One had more willpower and determination than the other.
Well, you think about this, right? You look at like, just as a side note, right? The New Zealand props. You're gonna have Adam Fanua-Blake, you're gonna have Moses Leota, James Fisher-Harris, Nelson Asafa-Solomona.
Oh, Leota's gonna represent New Zealand.
Yeah,
I thought he was gonna represent New South Wales a few years ago.
Well, he potentially, but now he's representing New Zealand. So, you think about
not Samoa anymore.
Was he representing Samoa before?
I thought he did. Was he a Kiwi? He has represented New Zealand before.
Yeah.
Under 20s level or something.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you think about it, even if they don't have Leota, but still, like, if he...
Watch out, Australia.
I mean, if he, next year, if he does put his hand up for New South Wales and he is eligible, what a forward. What a prop. Like, he'll...
I thought he would have got chosen a few years ago.
I thought he would have got chosen this year over Tavita Pangai Jr. if he was eligible, to be honest.
A few years ago. Yeah. Some odd selections there.
And, even last year against the Eels, I thought even though Dylan Edwards won the Clive Churchill, I thought it was Leota that had the best game.
Was Leota's stint in that first half that blew Parramatta away.
He made him, I
think it took 15 minutes for him to blow him away.
He didn't father them, he grandfathered them. That's how good he was. Mitch Kenny and Billy Walters. I thought Mitch Kenny, for the no-nonsense type of player that he is, played very well.
Yeah, he kept it simple.
Billy Walters...
started off good at that 40-20.
Incredible, but then I thought he lost his way a little bit.
And then that Smoothie come on and he missed out a large chunk of the game.
But I thought Mitch Kenny played very well.
Yeah.
I thought Mitch Kenny's pass selection and...
I thought it was his best game of the year.
Yeah, and he's
in the grand final,
and
that's saying something.
Where he was passing and when he was passing, I thought suited the halves. He always chose the right side to go to, which I thought was what made the biggest difference, because you always feel like if the dummy half gets it wrong, it ruins the whole set.
Yep.
And he got it right almost every single time. James Fisher-Harris, absolute no nonsense.
And Payne Haas.
Up against Payne Haas. Tough one to call, but I thought Payne Haas had this one.
Yeah, Payne Haas slightly shades him. Like, matter of fact, like if you put all the four front rows together, Flegler, Leota, Haas and Fisher-Harris, it's very hard to separate them. Like, it's literally slightly one over the other. Yeah. Payne Haas was incredible. I think 40 tackles without a miss.
No missed tackles, 100% tackle officials. No, 180 tackle meters, 70 post-contact meters.
Who's this?
Payne Haas.
Wow, 70.
70 post-contact
180 meters.
Yeah, 180 meters run.
Wow. So he shaded everyone out there on the field. On a losing side.
I'm telling you.
He would have given you 80 minutes. There was no point in resting him.
He played 65 minutes, 41 tackles. Let me just tell you the minutes.
What an absolute freak. The most post-contact meters to top it off.
Just so that I'm sure. Oh, no, sorry. You're right. He made 150 meters.
Half of those was post-contact.
63 contact, yeah.
So almost half of post-contact, because they were up in his face and he was still dragging him. He didn't run at the small man. If you realise, he was always running at Leota and Fisher-Harris.
He was.
He just show how much quality. He was running out the big men. He was singling them out.
Then we go to the back row. Scott Sorensen and Kurt Capewell. I thought both had a relatively quiet game.
Thank you.
Kurt Capewell had maybe one or two good touches, but overall I thought he had a poor game.
They both had a quiet game.
Yeah, Sorensen went off with a HIA as well. So
by their standards, yeah.
Liam Martin, Jordan Ricky.
Yeah, look, Martin started well in that first half. Look, his presence was still felt there in the second. I think the second row also had the quietest game out of any side.
Yeah, they did.
I thought Ricky was heavily involved in that first half. Probably got to him in the second.
I think Liam Martin was good, but he made a lot of tackles. He had a lot of defending to do. Jordan Ricky ran hard, but I think that one try-saving tackle by Stephen Crichton sort of buried him after he got tackled by Stephen Crichton. It was over.
Yeah. And then you had the locks.
Isaiah Yeo and Carrigan.
HIA. Did well to come back.
I thought Isaiah Yeo played very well.
I thought he was gone after that hit.
I thought he was too, but he solid to him. Came back on. I thought
Carrigan had a good game till those loose balls.
I thought you saw why Payne Haas is the better player. Like everyone puts Carrigan and Haas together.
No, that's silly.
Payne Haas is
no way
on another level, man.
I can't believe they put Carrigan on his level.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it's clear. Payne Haas was just
hands down by. That's a bit of an insult to put him on his level.
But I thought he played all right.
Yeah.
And then you go to the interchange bench. Now, this is interesting. Jack Cogger and Tyson Smoothie. Jack Cogger by far was...
Look, Smoothie set up Flegler with that nice pass. He lacks pace. I mean, Moses Leota left him for dead.
I couldn't believe that.
I'm like looking up and I'm thinking, and he's losing ground. I thought, oh my God. And he went and scored under the sticks.
Jack Cogger, I thought he came on. He communicated well with Peachy.
Yep.
Look,
Smoothie had a decent game.
Cleary.
Yeah, they made that comeback when he came on.
But Cogger is just, I was just so impressed with Cogger. Very happy that he won a grand final. Very well deserved. I thought he came on and he deputised for Cleary so well.
He deputised. That's what he did.
He knew what Cleary wanted from him. He knew what his job was. And he got out and he did it. He just did it to an absolute T.
I think to his advantage, he played 14 games for him this year?
Yeah,
something like
a lot
that.
of games.
So that helped.
Yeah, 100%. Lindsay Smith and Brendan Piakura. I thought
Lindsay Smith, I thought was very good in that.
In the first half, I thought
the big tall blonde. 15.
Yeah, he was.
I thought he
good.
had some damaging runs. Especially in that second half down the right-hand side. He made some big meters there.
Yeah, he did. Brendan Piakura, I thought was nowhere. I couldn't...
Yeah, he didn't get utilised enough.
I think
what I felt.
I think they sort of kept Payne Haas on there for as long as possible.
Yeah, they didn't utilise Piakura enough, I felt.
Spencer Leniu, I thought had a all-right game. Came on there, made some hard runs, did some good tackles, but nothing...
Yeah, none of his psycho runs, I thought.
And
maybe they told him keep it simple.
Kobe Hetherington, I thought had a...
I'll tell you what, he pulled off those tackles on Leota close to the line, one-on-one.
Yeah,
that was some crazy tackles. Unfortunately for them, they didn't... I mean, that was some big tackles. Yeah. Unfortunately for them, they didn't hold out and win.
Actually, he also made a tackle on Fisher Harris. That
was a crazy tackle. I think he pulled up 3 one-on-ones on the line.
Right, I remember that. Yeah.
2 out of those 3, you probably would have put him down to score. And Hetherington, wow,
he did well. But I mean, in attack, didn't really. But to be honest, he did come on when the Panthers
were under siege.
Yeah, the Panthers were.
I thought he'd saved them.
Yeah, and then Luke Garner. I thought Luke Garner played well.
Garner, I didn't even realise he was out there. Because I was having an argument with my brother, I didn't see Garner out there.
Luke Garner and Kennel NRL. I thought Palacia was all right. I thought he came on, ran hard.
Another one underutilised.
100%. Yeah, but look, besides Cogger, the rest of the bench, I mean, they weren't going to probably ever see much game time, so... Lindsay Smith did well, so it was mixed. And they lose Spencer Leniu for next year, so I think Lindsay Smith will be it'll be good to have there. They've got Matt Eisenhuth as well.
I think Guy has got his son coming through.
Oh yeah, Matt Guy.
Yeah.
Is it Matt? No, what's his name?
Not Marshall.
Tyrant? No, I don't know. Anyways, there's some good forwards coming through. We've gone through the team list. I thought Brisbane lost their unlosable grand final.
Well, after the position man put him in, yeah. Because Penrith did control that first half. But Penrith would have been scratching their head. How are we behind 16 points in that 10-minute stint?
Agreed. And even in the press conference, Kevin Walters was saying, we thought we did enough to win. The crowd thought we did enough to win.
It was that 10 or 15-minute stint that went berserk.
It's just incredible.
But the rest of the game was all Brisbane, really.
You mean it was all the Panthers?
I mean, sorry, Panthers. Thanks for correcting me. But if you think about it, that 15-minute stint where they scored 4 tries was crazy.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was, honestly, and it was the 3 tries.
I was freaking out.
Yeah. And for them to lose, I thought,
what a comeback.
They put the cue in the rack, in the 60th minute. I thought they stopped playing. They stopped.
Very bad.
Yeah, they stopped. Like they were trying to force the offload instead of just playing simple game, go back to basics. You needed some steady heads, and that's why if we go to Adam Reynolds' performance, I just felt like as someone who with that experience, and this is sort of where he should have shone. He didn't. He should have steadied the ship. He should have said, "Calm down. We've got this. We're leading by 16 points. We just need to play clean, basic footy." I just didn't think he did that.
I know people are just pointing out and saying, "Oh, but Cleary missed 2 tackles that Brisbane scored." Yeah, okay, but what did he do in that last 20? He delivered the title.
But I think...
those 2 missed tackles now are irrelevant. But I'll give you another example. Sonny Bill in the 2013 grand final, that first half, nowhere near close to his... it was probably his bottom 5%, games of halves he's ever played. But in that second half, do you think he put his head down?
He kept going.
Cleary kept his head up. Sonny kept his head up. Sonny in that 10 or 15-minute stint in that second half turned around an 8-point deficit for the Roosters to an 8-point lead for the Roosters.
Yeah.
It was that 15-minute stint. It was enough to win him probably the Clive Churchill medal as well. Agreed. Although they gave it to DCE.
Yeah, I mean, that still baffles me, to be honest.
Yeah.
But look, we're not going to get into that. I think something that we need to call out is the refereeing.
Oh, yes. Thank you. You know what's funny? We had the referees for the first 5 rounds we were happy with, I think.
That's right, yeah.
And then I think for the next
22 rounds, they shut themselves.
We just literally and then ends up on a bang, and that was probably the best refereeing performance of the year.
Why can't the refs perform like that every week?
Because you got Ashley Klein there.
Because that was by far the best refereeing performance of the year. He kept the whistle away. He made calls on the spot.
And he was consistent.
It was very consistent.
I know he kept the whistle away, and there was a few times he could have called it for both, but he was consistent. I didn't call it for you. I'm not going to call it for you.
100%.
I called it for you. I'm calling it for you. I like how he went old-fashioned when Flegler dived in.
He was all the way in there.
All the way in there, because I guarantee if it was someone like Klein who would have ruled no try, and the video ref would have overruled it as well. Would have said, obviously, no try as well. He was there. I've seen it. He's put it. It's a try.
Yeah.
I saw it on the
and the
line.
bunker
You
confirmed
can't see it. I saw it.
And the
Good on him. He told the bunker, get lost the whole game. That's what I absolutely loved.
Like, even when he called, when Andrew Reynolds did the dropout, went out on the full, and Nathan Cleary put his leg out and caught the ball, he was happy to call it. He knew what he was calling, and then even though the Broncos challenged, but he knew. But he was happy to make the calls.
Credit to the touchy there.
Honestly, credit to the whole refereeing team. Yesterday, we bagged the referees out a lot, but I think credit where it's due. That was a great performance, and I wish they could take a lot of lessons away from the grand final yesterday and sort of apply it to next year in their refereeing, because that's what we want to see.
And put some of those refs out the pasture. Not needed anymore. There's some refs there, they do not cut it. Get rid of them.
I'm with you.
Honestly, get rid of them.
Yeah, I agree with you. But that was very well done, and I got to say that was
great. He can be after that performance, he can be the ref in next year's grand final.
Yeah, he's got to have the next few grand finals.
He handled that with ease. Did not even lose his cool in a few of those scuffles.
He was just everywhere, and he made the right calls. The game was on a knife's edge, and he just controlled it well.
I couldn't even catch my breath, and I wasn't even playing. I'm sitting at home.
We didn't even support these teams, man.
I'm sitting there on a couch thinking, geez, I'm tired. I'm not even playing.
Just want to sort of end sort of the discussion around
it was
the
a
grand final.
Sellout last night.
It was a sellout after the first 24 hours. A
lot of Brisbane. What was the breakdown? I heard it was about even. Is that true?
Well, there were a lot of Broncos supporters, and you can hear the Broncos chanting. Can you imagine being a Broncos fan right now? You'd be devastated. Like if I was a Bulldogs fan, we lost the grand final like that.
Suck shit, Brisbane.
Yes, suck shit. But look,
we are the Broncos.
Boo! I
wonder where that guy is now.
Couldn't have happened to a more deserving team. In the early 2000s and the late 90s, or even the early 90s, the Broncos had everything go their way. I'll tell
you why suck shit, because every time they won those grand finals, they showed absolutely no humility afterwards. Like nothing. Arrogance in 92, 93, arrogance in 97, arrogance in 98.
You're just salty because they beat the Dragons. That's why you're salty.
2000, arrogance in 2006 when their last one against Merrill. Not once have they showed any humility.
You're just salty, bro.
Not salty. They show no humility.
But neither are the Panthers.
Panthers, they had some nice choice words to say for Brisbane after the grand final. They're matter of fact every year. Their players come out and say nice things.
Look, it's true.
Whereas Brisbane players have carried on like cocky as.
Yeah. I mean,
suck shit, Brisbane.
This team was very gracious in defeat, though. The Broncos team.
They got a good bunch. That's why I was cheering them on as well.
Bunch. But yeah, look, I think if there's anything to wrap it up, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Panthers grand final for a 5th straight year.
Maybe Broncos again.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Broncos Panthers next year
They
again.
lose Flagler and Kirby, 2 huge losses.
They do, but they've got Coates. So Selwyn Cobbo will go into the centers. They got Coates that can go on the wing, and then in terms of props, they got Piakura, Palacia. They've got
some young guns.
They've got Tapa'u as well. Tapa'u that can come in.
Martin will be 35 next year.
You know, but he's still as a prop. You know, he can still cover. They've got they re-signed Payne Haas, so
or 34 rather. You know, can I just say again, suck shit Brisbane, because that's 2 double whammies they copped in 2 days, because they lost a nail biter in the AFL.
Yeah, that's
imagine. You know, they used to pride themselves on being the most successful city in Sydney. Now these are just the perennial losers.
No, they lost the AFL and the NRL.
They're just the perennial losers.
The Panthers, they do lose Crichton, Cogger, and Spencer Leniu, but as we've mentioned, they've got heaps of options for next year. So I mean, I don't think the Panthers are going to be much worse next year. They'll be first or second, I think.
I'm just laughing at Brisbane still.
Yeah, I know.
As much as I love, I spent time up in Brisbane, in the city there. Like, I mean, a few months up in Brisbane with the locals. I thought they were a good, hospitable bunch. I'm still laughing.
And with that, I think we do. Is there anything else you want to talk about the grand final? Because I think we've sort of come to an end.
Mate, I'm just upset. None of, it's just been a while, It does, for the Dogs as well.
Yeah,
it just doesn't look like it's going to be anytime soon. Look at our squads.
I think Crichton will make his 5th grand final in a row next year with the Bulldogs.
Can I say, are we going to do a review for the Bulldogs next week?
So next week we'll have the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs season 2023 review.
Yep.
We're going to go in a lot of depth. There's going to be a lot of data and information given. We're going to try to give a holistic breakdown of where it went right, where it went wrong, and why we fizzled out right at the end, and maybe give some alternative perspectives on where we were throughout the season and what could have been and where we think we may be in 2024. So we look forward to speaking with you guys next week. If you have made it to the deep end, I think it was a great grand final. And, let us know what you thought of the grand final in the comments below. Let us know if there's anything that we've missed or anything you don't agree with about that, about our breakdown of the grand final. Thank you so much. Please subscribe if you haven't so far. Like us on Instagram, like us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, like us on all the socials.
Give us your comments. I look forward to your comments always.
Yeah, please. If you're not happy with Dibbo's suck shit Brisbane, please let us know. But suck shit Brisbane. And how good was it? How good was it having another NRL game without the Eels being there?
Oh, that was fantastic. Can I add? I thought I was getting worried that how's the NRL Grand Final going to top the AFL Grand Final?
It topped it.
For me, it topped it.
What a grand final!
What a weekend!
What a grand final! What a brilliant! And apparently it was one of the most watched grand finals ever as well.
Brilliant.
So again, thank you so much for watching. We look forward to seeing you guys next week. Have a great week. NRL is over. We look forward to providing a lot of content in the off season to ensure you get your rugby league fix until the season comes back. Thank you very much.